Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming SCS exams happening in February 2025. As you know, my name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for SCS at TCS. So let's look at the session plan. I'm not going to take a lot of your time because I know for a fact that you are involved with last minute preparations. So I will be keeping this session short. So first things first, I will be sharing certain tips which will ensure that you walk into your exam with a high level of positivity, and then I will conduct a Q&A session as well, thereby addressing your last minute questions and concerns. So I'm going to highlight what you need to do to maintain positivity or maintain a high level of confidence, both leading up to the exam and on the day of the exam. So leading up to the exam, it's best that you rest your mind and body. So with this in mind, you have to stop all your preparations day or two before your examination. Ideally, if you can stop work 2 days before the exam, it's better. Why is this the case? Why am I asking you to do this? Because if you are well rested, both physically and mentally, you will perform at the highest level at your real examination. And I don't want you to refer to any study material, mocks, or answer plans, 1 or 2 days before your examination. Most students do this. This is a shortcoming faced by most students because I've seen students, even when they walk into the examination hall before the exam, 30 minutes before the exam, there's a tendency for them to go through mock exams, go through study texts, their short notes and whatnot. You should avoid all these things. Instead, whenever you are walking into the exam, you have to be fully prepared. In order to be fully prepared, you have to achieve a high level of open-mindedness. So if you are open-minded enough, then you will develop high quality answers which are totally aligned with what's highlighted within each scenario or what's highlighted within each unseen. And you'd also have the ability to develop answers which are totally aligned with each requirement. So, what happens when you go through mock exams or answer plans or suggested answers before walking to the exam? What happens is there's a tendency for you to remember what you had gone through. And when approaching a certain question, since you already remember how to structure the answer or what to include within the answer, you will try to replicate similar answers at your real examination. However, the information presented at your real examination will be quite different to what appeared within mock exams. Always remember, the mock exams are there to get your bearings with how each syllabus area is tested at the exam. The mock exams are there to improve your answering and time management skills. Mock exams are there to make sure that you understand what you need to do to overcome stressful situations. Other than that, at your exam, you need to make up your mind to develop answers which are totally aligned with the requirement, and you have to develop answers which are 100% aligned with what's highlighted within your unseen. So there's absolutely no point of trying to memorizing answers at this level, at the SCS level, because as I've mentioned throughout this webinar and workshop series, your application skills are heavily tested. So when developing answers, your job is to consider the information presented in each unseen or each scenario and develop answers which are totally aligned with each unseen, rather than trying to memorize answers, or rather than trying to remember what appeared within your mock exams and trying to replicate similar answers at your examination. So with this in mind, you have to start resting, and do not refer to any study material at least 2 days before your examination. And in these final days, it's best that you start thinking that you are actually the senior finance manager of Rotomyne. If you think in these terms, you will be extremely successful at the exam, because when you think like the SFM, you will always come up with appropriate evaluations, and you will always come up with accurate recommendations at your real examination. Because at office, in your real lives, at office, you won't think about the theories which you have learned. You won't think about how to structure your response and whatnot. Instead, you'd simply read through what appears within each email, and considering the information at hand, you will develop your responses in the most practical manner. So that's exactly what you are supposed to achieve at your real examination as well. So in order to achieve this, you need to make sure that you think that you are actually playing the role of the SFM at Rotomyne. If so, you will develop answers which are totally aligned with what's highlighted within each unseen, what's highlighted within each scenario. And on top of that, when going through your answer scripts, I saw that some students have, but some students resort to reiterating information presented in each unseen. You will avoid this if you think that you are the SFM, because at office in your when conducting your real affairs at office, you won't when responding to an email, you won't replicate the information which was shared with you by your boss when developing your responses. So in order to stick to the same methodology, it's best that you think that you are the SFM of your company. And it's quite normal for you to feel negative in these final days. However much prepared you are, you will always ask yourself whether you have done enough. You will think, okay, it's best, I've attempted all mock exams, I've conducted all revision, I have additional time on my hands. So should I go through theories? Should I go through study texts and whatnot? You will always think in these terms. Me as a student, I can remember I tried to do these things as well. So I was involved with self studies throughout my CIMA studies, and when doing so, I stuck to a study plan at all times. However, even after doing everything which is necessary to pass an examination, even after conducting all my preparation successfully, in the final days, there was a tendency for me to go through study texts unnecessarily. I, tried to refer to past exam variants unnecessarily. All these things should be avoided. Don't stress yourself too much. Don't try to do everything under the sun. Instead, if you had completed your work, if you had stuck to a study plan, and if you had completed all your preparations, start relaxing. Because if you are relaxed at your examination, you will develop answers which are highly successful, and answers which are totally aligned with each requirement. And it's best that you achieve a high level of open-mindedness, because if you are open-minded, you will evaluate certain situations faced by your company in the most successful manner. And whenever you are expected to provide recommendations, you will provide justified recommendations at all times. You can only do this when you are open-minded. So that's exactly why I said that you are not supposed to memorize answers. Instead, when attempting mock exams, when going through the answer plans, your logic should be to understand, or your objective should be to understand the logic behind each answer. So and on top of that, when you start relaxing 2 days before the exam, you will achieve the necessary level of open-mindedness, and this is going to be crucial for you at your real examination. So do these things leading up to the exam. In the final days, start relaxing. So if you had adhered to our initial 8-week study plan, you should be done with all 6 mock attempts by now, and you should be done with revision. So if your exam is on Wednesday, you have to stop all work by Monday. Take take a break, rest well, eat properly, sleep properly, and walk into the exam just like what you do in your day-to-day lives. Because just think that you are just think that you are walking into office on a Monday. If you were up till late on Saturday and Sunday, or if you are exposed to extreme levels of stress, then you can't function properly on a Monday. So your responses at your exam, if you are stressed before the exam, your answers will reflect these stressful situations. At your exam, you have to operate in a time pressured environment, 3 hours on the trot. So if you were stressed before the exam, you won't be in a position to successfully manage your stress levels at your real examination. So definitely you'd be exposed to stress at your exam, because you have to sit in one place 3 hours at a stretch and operate in a time pressured environment, which is not easy. So in order to make your life comfortable, start relaxing 2 days before the exam, stop all your work. All right. So during the exam, what are you expected to do to manage your stress levels and to be successful when the results are out? So during the exam, simply the first step towards managing your stress levels is to stick to the exam technique routine, which is to allocate 5 minutes of your time for reading. And once you have read through the scenario, you are supposed to allocate 30 minutes of your time to develop something called an answer plan. And once you have structured the answer, once you have planned out the answer, the remaining 25 minutes should be allocated towards expanding your answer plan, thereby typing your final answer in paragraph form. So if you stick to this process, it's as if you are taking a break towards the last 25 minutes of each section. So as I mentioned in webinar number 4, I said that if you are to come up with if you are to develop high quality answers, you need to think through your prefrontal cortex, or which is known as the front part of your brain. However, the issue with the prefrontal cortex is the fact that when you are operating in a time pressured environment, the prefrontal cortex tends to take a break every 30 to 45 minutes. So you have to be seated in one place 3 hours at a stretch and attempt 3 sections at your exam. And when doing so, it's best that you think through your prefrontal cortex, but you won't be able to do it. You won't be able to utilize your prefrontal cortex 3 hours at a stretch, especially since you're operating in a time pressured environment. So every 30 to 45 minutes, the prefrontal cortex will, want you to take a break, but at the exam, you can't do so. So the only option at your disposal is to make sure that you do something to refresh your brain, or that you do something which replicates a situation where you are, taking a break. So in the first 35 minutes, when you are reading the question and developing the answer plan, this is when you are really supposed to be focused, because this is when you are reading through the scenario and based on it developing answers and planning out your answers, structuring your answers. So this is when in the first 35 minutes you need to be really focused. You need to utilize your prefrontal cortex. But in the remaining 25 minutes, you should not be too focused, because you have already planned out what you need to include in your answer. You have already structured your answer. So when it comes to typing your answer or expanding the answer plan, your life becomes easy. You need not focus too much, because you already know what you should include within the answer. So if you stick to this answering technique, it's as if you are utilizing your prefrontal cortex 35 minutes at a stretch, then taking a break towards the last 25 minutes of each section. So you are taking a break towards the last 25 minutes of each section across the 3 sections. And if you do so, you will successfully manage your stress levels at your exam, rather than trying to, utilize your prefrontal cortex 3 hours at a stretch. And you are not in a position to do this because you are operating in a time pressured environment. So take a break towards the last 25 minutes of each section, thereby, simply typing out the answer or expanding the answer plan. So by sticking to this answering technique, you can easily manage your stress levels during the exam. Even if you stick to this answering technique, there will be instances where you will experience stress due to fatigue. This usually happens in section number 3, because by the time you are in section number 3, you have you have taken 120 minutes of your time, and you have operated 2 hours in a time pressured environment. And because of this, fatigue will set in. When fatigue sets in, definitely you will be exposed to stressful situations. So even if you stick to the answering technique, if you still feel stressed, you need to take steps to switch off your amygdala. So I explained these things in depth in the 4th webinar, in which I said that there's a small part of our brain which is known as the amygdala. So as I mentioned earlier, you have whenever you are involved with rational decision making, it's best that you utilize your prefrontal cortex. However, you can't use your prefrontal cortex for more than 45 minutes when you are operating in a time pressured environment. When this is the case, the prefrontal cortex will ask you to take a break, but at the exam you can't take a break. So because of that, when you keep training your brain functions will shift from your prefrontal cortex to the amygdala. which is an extremely small part of our brain. So when the amygdala is in play, it will expose you to the fight or flight response. Flight response is a situation where the brain tells you to move away from a stressful situation. You can't move away from a stressful situation at your real exam. At office, you can do so. If you're experiencing stress, you can walk away from your cabin. You can have a chat with your team members, or if you are into drinking coffee or tea, you can do it. If you're into smoking, you can smoke. But at the exam, you can't take a break. You have to sit in one place and attempt 3 sections across 3 hours. So you can't go down the flight, or you can't adhere to the flight option. The only option at your disposal is to fight the stressful situation. So when it comes to fighting the stressful situation, you need to know what you need to do to fight a stressful situation. The only way to fight the stressful situation is not to strain your brain and tell yourself, okay, I'm experiencing fatigue, yet we'll keep fighting, we'll keep moving forward. Just because you tell your brain to do so, if your brain is under extreme levels of stress or fatigue, it will expose you to further levels of stress. So the only way to overcome a stressful situation is to switch off your amygdala and make sure that your brain functions shift from your amygdala to the prefrontal cortex. So how are you supposed to do it? Only by focusing on your breathing. So close your eyes whenever you are exposed to a stressful situation at your exam. Close your eyes and breathe slowly for 2 minutes. When inhaling, inhale through your nose. When exhaling, exhale from your mouth. And when inhaling, count to 3 slowly. And when exhaling, again, count to 3 slowly. And when you do so, it's as if you are refreshing the brain, or it's as if you are taking a step back and making sure that you do something to relax your brain. So when you do so, the amygdala will switch off, and then brain functions will shift back to the prefrontal cortex. When this is the case, you will not experience fatigue, and you will not be exposed to a fight or flight response. Instead, you'd be involved with rational decision making. So it's essential that you close your eyes and breathe slowly for 2 minutes to get out of a stressful situation. And most students who end up acing the SCS exam do this. They take a 2-minute break at the beginning of each section. So let's assume you are done with section number 1. Before starting section number 2, although the timer is running, you would see the timer running down from 60 minutes. Although the timer is running, forget about the time. Close your eyes and focus on your breathing for 2 minutes. Take steps to refresh your brain. Take steps to make sure that the brain has some time to take a breather. Once you have reset your brain, start reading through the information presented in section number 2. And once you are done with section number 2, before reading through the information presented in section 3, again, focus on your breathing, reset your brain, and start fighting once more. So if you do this before, if you focus on your breathing to make sure that you refresh your brain before attempting each section, you will be in a position to manage your stress levels. Oops, sorry about that. You will be in a position to manage your stress levels in an extremely successful manner at your real examination. Also, it helps when you can drink some water, because it will help you calm your nerves. However, this is only available if you're attempting your exam at an examination center. If you're attempting the exam at home, you can't have a water bottle with you. And in certain examination centers, they won't allow you to carry a water bottle. It's up to the invigilator. So, if you are capable of carrying a water bottle into your exam center, you can do so. Whenever you feel stressed, have a sip of water to calm your nerves. And whenever you feel negative or whenever you feel stressed at the exam, always remind yourself that you have done your homework. So even if you have only attempted 3 or 4 mock exams, that's totally fine. Just remind yourself that you had gone through a certain study process. You have attempted mock exams, you have conducted revisions. So there's absolutely no point of you worrying unnecessarily if you have done your work. So always remind yourself, whenever you feel negative, always remind yourself that you have done your homework, and also remind yourself that you just need 80 marks to pass. So out of 150, you just need 80 to pass. As a percentage, it's 54%. So even if you screw up half of your answers, you can still pass your exam if you are confident about your skill set and if you manage your stress levels at your real examination. Because as I've mentioned throughout this webinar and workshop series, the examiner is not just testing your theory knowledge and application skills. The examiner is also testing whether you can function properly in a time pressured environment, whether you can manage your stress levels. Because in our daily lives, when operating within a company, when conducting affairs in a leadership position, definitely we should have the capability to manage our stress levels. If not, our entire team who depends on us as leaders, our entire team who depends on us will be stressed as well. So the examiner is testing whether you are capable of managing your stress levels. So that is exactly why whenever you feel stressed, you have to take some steps to get out of the stressful situation. And it's quite normal for you to feel negative. This happens due to stress levels again, especially towards section number 3. You will feel negative. You will keep thinking about whether you screwed up your answers pertaining to sections 1 and 2. You will think about what went wrong in sections 1 and 2. There's absolutely no point of thinking about what went wrong in the previous sections, especially given the fact that you can't go back to sections 1 or 2 when you are in section number 3. Also, uh, due to fatigue, you'll start thinking about the future as well. You will think about you will contemplate a situation where you end up failing the exam. You will think about having to sit for the SCS exam in May. Students, when having a chat with students, they have said that at the exam, especially towards sections 2 or 3, they were contemplating about the next session and what type of a case study the next case study is going to be. So all these type of negativity creeps in when you think about the future. So there's absolutely no point of thinking about the past or thinking about the future at your exam. Live in the present, and the only way to live in the present is to overcome stressful situations. And the only way to overcome stressful situations is to stick to our answering technique. And even after sticking to the answering technique, if you still feel stressed, focus on your breathing and make sure that you shift your brain functions from your amygdala to your prefrontal cortex. And always remind yourself that you have done your work and you just need 80 marks to pass your exam. And always make sure to give your best shot. You can only give your best shot if you are open-minded. So that's exactly why I suggested that in these last days, start relaxing. Simply focus your attention towards revision. Don't focus your attention towards mock attempts. If you are yet to attempt mock exams, that's quite all right. Simply go through mock exams and based on it, go through the answer plans or the suggested answers and try to understand the logic of each answer. Because you don't have time to attempt mock exams and get feedback and whatnot right now. So right now, your focus should be towards conducting your revision, and you have to start relaxing. If you do so, you will be open-minded, and if you are open-minded, then you will give your best shot at your exam. And in order to give your best shot, you know what to do. Stick to our answering technique, and if you feel stressed, get out of the stressful situation by switching off your amygdala. Okay, so I hope you will practice these things in the upcoming days and at the real examination as well. And those who had, attempted the SCS exam previously know how important it is for you to manage your stress levels, because I'm pretty sure if you attempted the SCS exam previously and if you ended up failing, you might have experienced something called brain freeze. So brain freeze occurs when you are trying to fight a stressful situation without knowing what to do to fight your stresses. But now, after this session, you know what causes stress, which part of your brain will be in play when you are exposed to a stressful situation. And now you know what to do to overcome a stressful situation. So practice these things. I asked you guys to practice these techniques when attempting the mock exams as well. Even if you missed out on these elements, that's quite all right. At least in the exam, at least in these final days, keep practicing these techniques so that you can avoid brain freeze and you can overcome stressful situations. If so, you can make sure that you develop high quality answers and end up passing the SCS exam easily. That's exactly what Selena achieved in the previous sitting. And, that's exactly why 90% of our students ended up passing the SCS exam comfortably, simply by, relaxing closer to the exam. So most 90% of the students will be exposed to extreme levels of stress, will be trying to do everything under the sun, unnecessarily trying to go through theoretical elements and whatnot, unnecessarily trying to attempt mock exams, or some students tend to re-attempt mock exams during the last week. It makes absolutely no sense. This is a professional qualification. The examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. So in a real life corporate environment, you know for a fact, if you are stressed, you can't function properly. So start relaxing. It's essential that you start relaxing. Only focus your attention towards revision. And if you start relaxing, you will achieve a high level of open-mindedness. And this open-mindedness will ensure that you walk into the exam stress-free. And at the exam, whenever you feel stressed, get out of the stressful situation by focusing on your breathing. And always remind yourself, whenever you feel negative, even in these final days, when you feel negative, remind yourself that you have done your work and you just need 80 to pass, and make sure to give your best shot at your real exam. If so, you will pass the SCS exam comfortably. All right, so having said that, I'm moving on to the Q&A. I'm going to pause the recording. All right, folks, so thank you very much for those questions. I hope I addressed everything. So if you want to contact us during these last days, you can do so by via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Click on the contact button and drop the message so that our admin staff can get in touch with you. You can also email us via info@study@tcs.com or WhatsApp us on this number. And also, the recorded versions of the webinars and workshops which we conducted across 8 weeks can be accessed via our YouTube handle. So if you missed out on any of the recordings or if you missed out on any of the weekly webinars and workshops, visit our YouTube handle. And via the TikTok handle, you will gain access to a set of videos, which is a good mind map of the entire pre-scene. So in these final days, keep watching these TikTok videos over and over so that you constantly keep yourself reminded of what appears within your pre-scene document. So having said that, it brings us to the end of the 8-week, webinar and workshop series, which we have conducted, focused on SCS exams happening in Feb 2025. I hope you gained something out of these sessions. The technicalities were highlighted in the first 4 webinars, and in the 4 workshops, we highlighted how to implement these techniques in a practical sense by taking you through our mock exams and suggested answers, thereby highlighting answering technique at the same time. And I addressed all your questions and concerns on a weekly basis as well. So be confident, as I mentioned earlier. Now, since you're done with your job, simply focus your attention towards conducting revision. Be confident of what you have achieved throughout these weeks. Thereby, be confident about you doing something to improve your skill set and come up with practical answers at your exam. During the Q&A session, you guys were asking a lot of questions about how to approach different syllabus elements. And as I mentioned within this Q&A session, there's no hard and fast rule which indicates the type of answers you should develop at your exam. Instead, you should consider the information presented in each scenario and develop answers which are totally aligned with what's highlighted within each scenario. So be practical. That's exactly what you do in your real lives when working at office. You will consider the information at hand and based on it come up with your recommendations or conduct your evaluation. So you need to adhere to a similar approach at your real exam as well. So be confident. It's quite normal for you to feel negative. Whenever you feel negative, remind yourself that you have done your homework and you just need 80 marks to pass. And at the exam, managing your stress levels is crucial. In order to do so, stick to the answering technique. And whenever you feel stressed, take a 2-minute break, thereby focusing on your breathing and taking steps to switch off your amygdala. And always make sure to give your best shot. Believe in yourself, because if you believe in yourself, you will come up with high quality evaluations and well justified recommendations at your exam. So give your best shot. You are capable of passing this exam. So do everything under your control to start relaxing in these final days. If so, you will be extremely successful at your real examination. So when the results are out, share your results via the WhatsApp group, so that the others who are planning to sit for SCS exam in May will get motivated by your performances. And also, I wish you all the very best when it comes to the PER process, because after this process, you can be ACMAs or FCMAs, or you can be fully fledged members of CIMA. So the best of luck. Be confident, believe in yourself, and ace this exam. I believe in you guys, so I hope you'd believe in your skill set, which you have gained across these 8 weeks as well. So thank you very much for joining, and I wish you all the very best in your future endeavors. Thanks for joining. Take care, guys.
Thank you